Stress originates from you worrying about a part of a puzzle that you have no control over. Think about it. If God tells you to just do your podcast, and instead of you doing your podcast, you worried about numbers, you worried about blah, you worried about this, and that. God never told you to do any of that. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sip&Awe, where God puts the awe in awesome. I'm your host, Brandon Windsor, and for part 2, we got Alex Johnson. Woo! What's up? You good?
What's up? I'm great.
Right on. Well, before we get into anything else, it is time for the Sippy. Are you ready, Alex?
Let's do it.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thank the Lord for the day that He's made for you and me. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
I love coffee.
Some good coffee.
What's the best coffee place, in your opinion, Alex?
Circle K.
Really?
Yes.
It's
Circle
the best.
K. It's the best.
It's the cheapest.
That's why it's the best.
Do you have a coffee maker at home?
No. I had a Keurig, but I really don't like it. It tastes like boxed macaroni. But yeah,
Man,
Folgers me.
Yeah, I've never had a. Well, my mom did when I was in high school. It did. I mean, it did the job. I mean, I wasn't never really happy. Yeah. But what about what's your favorite corporate coffee? Like Starbucks, Rhino, or?
Well, can I be honest? I'm going on record to say this.
Come on.
I do not know how to order from Starbucks. I don't know, because see, it's like they have a secret menu that's not visible. Okay. That's why it's a secret. And so when I'm with someone, it's like, well, give me a such and such and such upside down and triple shot of. I'm like, what you? Anyway, but my favorite corporate. Let's see, it may be Rhino.
Rhino is good. Yeah, I remember going to Starbucks with my dad, and I ordered something fancy like everyone else does. He was like, "It doesn't even have coffee on the menu. I just want black coffee." And,
because it's just hot milk.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
It's just
exactly.
Milk.
Yeah. And then what's funny is the coffee was on the bottom of the list in the very small, tiny in the corner. Like, oh, yeah, just a small black cup of coffee. Yep, for like $7. Dude, ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
But so this episode, I wanted to talk about worship.
Yeah.
And so if someone were to come up to you and be like, Alex, what is worship? What would you say?
Worship is, oh my goodness, what isn't it? Well, worship is, well, first, it's a sacrifice. Worship is what we do as believers, as Christians, to honor God. Now, there's different forms of worship. You can, like some people, they worship God by praying a lot. Some people kneel, I worship through music. But, worship is basically, and I said this to someone the other day. I said, worshiping is really hard almost because you really have to forget about everything just to focus on one thing.
Like, that is really good. Yeah.
Like, think you go to church and they say, well, come on, let's worship and forget about whatever. Like, just think about if you were to come in just as a regular congregant and they say worship and you just went through like 5 things on the way to church and they say, forget about all of those things and worship Jesus. It's just like, oh my goodness. But that's why it's a sacrifice. It's a focus, and it's so much more. Yeah, but basically it's a sacrifice. So when people say, I want to worship, I want to be a worshiper, I say, well, be careful. Be careful what you ask for, because it's going to cost you a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I never knew with being a worshiper, being chosen, being called, that like it would cost me my life.
Yeah. Like,
there are things that I wish I could do that I can't.
Yeah.
And it's great that I can't, but to be worship, like, you got to be called out. You got to be called out from everything else. I can't do as others do. I can't think as others think. I can't even flow like that. So worship. I mean, they say it's a lifestyle, and I used to hear that as a kid, but it really is. It's an everyday thing.
Yeah. Because
you only do on stage what's done in private. And so many people hit this light switch on Sundays, like,
man.
Oh, I'm up there worshiping, I'm a dance, but if you ain't prayed, if you ain't talked to God all week, what are you doing?
And what's crazy, you can tell sometimes too.
Oh yeah,
it's
quick.
Like you can. Oh yeah, that's just a performance there.
Oh
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that you say that, because I was spending time with the Lord, and I was just kind of thankful for the position that I'm in, getting to lead young adults. I get to minister, and the Bible teaches that teachers get judged more harshly. That's what it says in James. And I started to talk to the Lord. I was like, man, the position that I'm in is kind of scary. Not, I don't know if scary is the right word, but it's just, it's so heavy.
It's heavy, yeah.
I get to minister the word, which is awesome, but that means my judgment is going to be more harsh. And I can't do the things that a lot of people want to do because the Bible teaches in First Peter, it says, be holy for I'm holy. And so I must live a holy life behind closed doors because who you are alone is who you are.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to flip on a switch, like you said, and go worship.
It's so easy, especially now we have multi-tracks. We have all these things that we can do to help us put on as if we're worshiping, but we're just hiding behind whatever, you know. So it's a everyday thing for me. Like
it's daily.
I get stressed out. Like if I don't worship, I'm stressed because I have a lot going on. So worship helps me break away from all the cares and all the tasks and all of the people who wanted me to do this and do that. It's like, I need to center myself. Like something going wrong. I need to worship. So,
I'd love for you to speak to that because I think a lot of people say they're too busy to give God more time or they're too busy to worship more or read the word more. So how do you worship and how do you live a life with Christ in the midst of all the busyness?
Well, if you say you're busy, then if you say you're too busy enough to worship, then you don't have God. Because if God is the head of your life, he's the head of everything. And you know that you can't do anything without God. I play in a band called Windstorm, right? It's a band that my uncle founded over 30 years ago. This band has been around longer than I've been living, right? So, and the crazy part about it, we pray before every show.
Wow.
And I know people say, that's weird. Like, no, we're all believers. We're all believers. We just do music. It's how we, it's our money, but we pray. So when you learn that God is everything that you have, then you'll put him at the head of everything that you have. So many people say that. They better be careful because you really don't have the Jesus that you proclaim that you have. Because if you have him, you'll know you'll need him way more than what you think. You need him for everything.
Talk about situations in your life where you were offered a job or you were offered a career that would have paid a lot of money, but the Lord told you no, so you didn't do it.
Yeah, it's happened to me recently. Like this year I was offered a job at another place, and the money was good. I mean, the whole scenario was good. I was going to be like this top producer, top worship guy. I mean, it was like a three-way triangle. The church was very known. The pastor was known, and the guy who was over the music program was very known. I got down to the hotel room, and just as clear as you hear me talking to you, God told me, go home.
Wow.
He said, go home. He said, go home. And I went home. And it took me like a month to get over. It really did. Because to me, it was like, man, this is my big break. This is my time. I had prepped my uncle. I prepped my kids. I was ready to go. I mean, all I had to do was just come back home and put my stuff in the bag. Yeah. Man, God got down there. I got there, and God said, nope, go back home. Go back home. Because the things that you want to do quickly, the things that you want to do, you can do it. You just got to open your eyes to see it. So a lot of times we want to leave a place where we hadn't tilled the soil all the way just to go to another ground that's already tilled, thinking that it'll be instant, that it'll be quicker. But everything that's quick isn't good.
That's really good.
We want microwave success.
Yeah.
We really do. A lot of people, they want to snap their fingers. I want to be this. And next week. And so this generation, what social media has allowed us to see is that, oh man, it looks like this person has done this overnight. It takes years to become an overnight success. Yeah. I said it takes years to become an overnight success. So what seems like overnight took 13, 14 years in the making. So we can't be afraid of process. Right. It's a thing. You got to go through the process.
And too, I think about that. And I think about you have to go through the process, but you have to be diligent in the season that you're already in, right? And you can't forget the basics, because we just did staff training with Pastor Philip Dees, and he was talking about this guy got this opportunity to go watch Kobe train, and it was 4 a.m., Kobe's in there, and he starts doing the basics, like, just dribbling, and he's like, oh man, that's really cool, but I can't wait for Kobe to do like really cool things, and he just kept doing the basics. And then he had an opportunity to talk to Kobe. He's like, man, like, how come you didn't do anything like awesome? And then Kobe's like, you can't forget the basics.
Never.
And it's like, yes, you can become successful, but people don't want to put in the work.
No, it's a lot of work.
And like with this show too, it's like I've seen people grow, and I've seen people have really successful channels, but it's like, this is a lot of work. And it's kind of what's so beautiful. I haven't really shared this yet, but for the very first time, this podcast is going to be 6 months old later this month, and for the very first time, I've hit a wall of like, oh, I gotta film today, or it's like, it's like, oh, I gotta do this. But those are the moments that count.
Yes.
When you don't feel like doing it, and when you don't want to, you still do.
Yes.
And that's what success is pushing through, and not just having, like you said, microwave success.
There's no way. There's no way to have success and not go through a process. You cannot have success without a process. Now, however long that process is, that's between God. It's not between anybody, but it's it's up to God. Because honestly, think about this. Me and my uncle, we ride around Shreveport, and right at the fairground, we look at this sign that has the Powerball and the Mega Million on it. We passed by coming down here.
I know
today.
exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
I said, Jesus, if you give me that $1.9 billion, and then God told me today, I didn't even say anything in the car. He said, Alex, don't you know it only takes one moment for me to change your life? Like, it takes one moment. You can get one phone call right now, and it changes the rest of your life. And so that encourages me to keep showing up. It keeps me going, because like, I'm stressed out because to me it's taking weeks, it's taking months, sometimes it takes years, man. But God is so powerful, bro. Like, he can change your whole life in one moment. Think about it. David was in the field tending sheep, and in one moment his brothers went and got him, changed his whole life. In one moment. There was nothing on the earth. Jesus said, let there be. One sentence changed the whole world. Wow. So one moment can change your life, man. So just show up. That's all God wants us to do, is just show up.
And give God your best in the midst of showing up. Yeah, that's so good. That is so good. Man, that is so good. Man, my mind was just blown.
Yeah, you just got to show up, man.
Yeah.
And think about it. And I was telling someone that I mentor last week, I said, you want to know where stress originates from? They said, where? Stress originates from you worrying about a part of a puzzle that you have no control over. Think about it. If God tell you to just do your podcast, and instead of you doing your podcast, you worried about numbers, you worried about blah, you worried about this, and that. God never told you to do any of that.
Hey guys, I want to just stop real quick and say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I want to challenge you with something. If you know someone in your life that you know that they would like this episode, stop what you're doing and send it their way so that we can keep growing the Sip&Awe family. All right, thank you for sharing, and let's get back to the episode.
He never said do any of that. He said do this. Do this. Just do the one thing I'm telling you to do. I have the rest figured out. Think about Jeremiah. Jeremiah said in Jeremiah 1, God told him to go and do this. He said, I'm too young. He said, who are you to say you too young? Yeah. Who are you to say you too young? You're not qualified. Like, come on, y'all. We gotta. Sometimes we got to get up off the gas on ourselves, right? Because we create stress and worry and anxiety on ourselves when God never told us to do that.
That's so good. I remember that Jeremiah story. The Lord revealed that to me with young adults. He's like, Lord, I'm just too young to do this. He's like, read Jeremiah. And I'm like, yes, sir. And it changed my life. It's so cool. What is the biggest thing that, guess like denying careers like that or denying big doors like that? What is one thing that you've learned from those moments in your life?
The thing that I learned the most, and I want the world to hear me because I'm going to repost this. Come on. All right. The thing that God showed me during those moments, especially this last one, And it's simple. He said, Alex, you are around everything you need already to succeed. You already have it. Everything that you need to become who God called you to be, you're already that.
Wow.
You're already doing podcasts. You don't have to learn how to do it. You're just doing it. It's already you. Our job is to, like, I'm going to retract and say, is to just show up. So that was the big thing, that God had me open my eyes to see the blessings and the resources that I was already around. I was chasing lights, cameras, and action. I was like, I'm about to be on TV. We're about to go. I'm about to get this Grammy. Yeah. I'm gone, And God was like, yeah, you can.
Right.
You can leave, and people do. They leave and they go, they're successful. But I'm telling you, I watch them like I watch birds just fly. I watch them come right back home because they left too soon. Because God was trying to teach them longevity. And I realized that the blessing that God wants for me, he wants it to last. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want no microwave blessing to where I make all this money, have all this fame, and then, I get older and then my kids have to figure out how to get stuff done and how to bury me. No way.
Yeah. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think about too, when the Bible says, like, if we ask with the wrong motive, it won't be given to us. And I think about, if I were to ask the Lord, like, I want to have millions of subscribers, and I want to, like, do this, and it's like the Lord knows that I couldn't handle being quote unquote famous, so he wouldn't grant that, because he's like, I know that you would crumble under that. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah. And not just crumble. That is a side, but the flip side of that, God also saves us from things that we can't even see.
Because he already knows.
Because he knows. Like, when he say trust me with everything, like, he's not just saying that from just to hold you back, to make you feel bad. No, he knows the ins, the outs, the turns, the twists. He knows the whole story. So when he says no, sometimes it's not rejection, it's redirection. Because he wants to save you from a lot of headache, a lot of stress, a lot of stuff. And then another thing God taught me too was to listen to people, to listen to people who have trusted voices in my life. Because sometimes as young men, we're so amped, we're so ready to do these things. Like, I feel like God is calling me to do it, And I'll never forget, I sat down with my uncle. I was so scared to tell him that I was trying to move, and he was like, okay. He was in full support, and I know that had to be hard for him to sit there to see me attempt to go do something that he knew wasn't gonna work. And all I had to do was just sit back and trust the voices that God put in my life. So a lot of times we say we trust in God, but most times God speaks to us through people that are closest to us. They're called mentors. Yeah, and we got to listen to them.
That's really good.
Young people,
you all need a mentor.
You do need a mentor. You need a few. I have a few.
Speak on that. Why do we need a mentor? I know we kind of talked about you need to trust voices, but why is having a mentor important?
Because the Bible said there's blessing in multitude of counsel, which means that you need to be able to bounce ideas and things off of somebody who has wisdom, who has years, who has experience.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned Pastor Denny. We mentioned Uncle Ron. We mentioned, we didn't mention, but we should, Pastor Steve. I mean, these people have been there and done that. So, and there's nothing new under the sun. So, young people, don't let social media fool you as if this is all something new. No, man, all this stuff is, they may have one little new trick, but the foundation of that stuff is the same. And these people have been there and done that. So, like, you'd be stupid not to listen. That's foolish. Totally. Really foolish. Like, to not listen, to say, hey, don't drive down that street because the bridge is out. And you just say, well, I'm going to go drive anyway because I feel like, something's for me on the other. No, like, you just being dumb, straight up foolish, and that's what happens when we don't listen. Like, when we don't listen, man, that's a hard lesson. It's a hard lesson.
Yeah. Can you have an example in your life where you were super selfish in the sense of like, oh no, I'm just going to do it. And then everyone around you was like, I don't know if that's the best thing to do. And then you did it. And then you kind of figure out in yourself, like, maybe I should have listened to everyone else.
Well, I never did that on like something big. It was on like something small, like because I'm a scary decision making person. Like on like decisions, I have to talk to a whole bunch of people.
I'm the same exact way.
Like I don't just be like, oh, I just go mess up, and if I mess up, then like no, because I watch. Here's why is because I've watched so many people fall, and so many times they were so close, and then the space they're falling from is so far from where they were. It's like I don't want to work that hard anymore to like gain that traction just to try to get to like no. So I mean it was small stuff like pay your cell phone bill on time, and I was like, well, I'll just use all the grace days, but no, nothing big, bro. It's like, and especially now after this last deal, I don't do anything, bro, without somebody with me or talking to at least 3 to 4 people.
Yeah, I'm the same
before I make
way.
a decision.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I used to have a bad habit of whenever something would come up, I would just jump and go for it, like being super excited. And even my mentors were like, I don't know if you should have done that quick. Yeah. But it was so good. And so what's so cool, Alex, and I feel comfortable talking about it with you, but behind the scenes, I was talking to a gentleman about getting a different job. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was going to pay more. It was going to be closer to home, so I didn't have to drive 40 minutes to Shreveport. Mm-hmm. And he said that he was going to hire me. It was going to be really, really good. And then he calls me yesterday. He's like, yeah, we're not going to hire you. And I kind of grieved. I was like, man, like I was really looking forward to this. And I was just thinking about how good God is, that even though that he said no, that could have been God protecting me from something. Yeah. That could have been God like, no, I have something better in store for you. So just stick to what you're doing now, and that door will be open to you. Mm-hmm. And of course too, like it could be like naturally, like I just wasn't going to get the job, like I'm not going to make it super spiritual, but I truly believe like the Lord can come in and protect you. He can. And because everyone is called. Everyone is called, and you have a calling on your life. And what's so crazy is the only person that can get you off of your calling is you. And your pride. Ooh, talk about it. Right. And your pride. And it's like, you can be wanting to seek the platform at church and you want to lead. And it's like, no, I didn't call you that. But you're not faithful enough to go scrub the bathrooms when your pastor asks you to, right? Yeah. So he who's faithful in a very little thing, Luke 16:10, will be faithful also in much. Yes, right? Absolutely. And so don't seek the limelight. Don't seek the platform and the performance. Seek being faithful and seek showing up, right? And showing up in any area that you've been called to do. Yeah. So.
And most people, Brandon, they feel like that number 2 spot, everybody wants to be number 1, but they feel like that number 2 spot is like the worst spot to be in. But as you grow and as you learn and as you expose yourself to other corporations, like that number 2 spot is as powerful, or if not more powerful than the number 1, because number 2, they make sure that the number 1 works, and number 2 is the position that's doing all the work. Number 1 just getting all the glory. Yeah, like think about it. Every successful number 1 person has been a very successful number 2 person. That's good. Which means that you have to serve. You have to serve the anointing that you want. Like I just started the worship pastor title at Shreveport Community Church a few years ago. I've been there 11 years now. But when I got there, that was my first time in my career taking a number 2 spot. But I took it because it was something more that I needed. And I knew in order for me to grow, in order for me to evolve and be this person that God had called me to be, I had to serve under someone who can lead and guide me, which was Teddy Grover.
Uncle Teddy.
Yeah. I had to sit there and just serve him. I had to serve him every week. I served him. And then when I got the elevation to worship pastor, it wasn't this big old thing because I was already in motion. I was already doing the things that God has called me to do. I was already doing it. Like I didn't have to go, oh, well, let me change my whole work day. You know, like a position is reaped. You reap it, which means like you have sown into it. Wow. You don't have to adjust to be that thing that you're seeking to be. Like, start doing it now. Think about the people who say, well, I'm going to wait until like, those are dangerous people.
Man. Because
you're changing with the wind. You're changing with every season. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I know one day the Lord is going to make me rich. He's going to make me whatever he wants to make me, but I can't wait until he makes me that to start acting like it. I got to act like it now. So that means I got to wear a suit or Jesus can, you know, whatever it is. Like, you don't wait until you get success to act successful. You don't do that. You practice now. Yeah. You do it now.
I love that you say that because with this show, I was talking to my buddy Charles, and I was like, man, my dream episode is when I have like my own studio, and it's like you, me, Zacchiano, and Justin. We're all just hanging out. And he's like, well, we should just schedule it. And my mind is like, well, I'm not to the place where we can do that yet. And the Lord corrected me, and he's like, do it.
Do it.
Do the big things now. And so now, this is probably, when this episode comes out, it's going to be way past this. But now I'm hosting a live event at Randall Coffee, doing this in front of people. And now I'm talking to Carthage, the city of Carthage, so I can go out in public and have like public podcasting with random people.
Yeah.
Because that's something I want to do when I'm popular, but why not do it now?
Why not do it now?
Start right now.
Right. And here's a revelation that I got from a very influential person. God, all right, this is finna trip you out. All right, God, all right, he's powerful. In all his years of being God, think about this. God has never made a table. He's never made a pencil. He's never made plywood. He's never built a house. God has never done any of those things. Here's what God did. God made a tree. And it was up to someone to look at that tree to see everything that could come out of one tree. Out of one tree, we have table, we have desk, we have pencils, we have chairs, we have paper. Out of one tree. And so many people get frustrated because God has given them something, but they can't see. They don't have any vision. And that's, the Bible even says, without vision, the people perish.
Wow.
So, of course, you may not have it now, but my question is to you, what do you see? What do you see? Do you see yourself as this or as that? Because if you can see it, God will allow you to have it. I'm serious. There were rooms that I said on the previous podcast that I know I wasn't qualified to be in. I know it. I know I wasn't. But it's because God's favor allowed me to step into those rooms. And God said, anywhere your feet tread, I'm going to give you. That's what he said in Joshua. So I believe wherever your feet, whatever ground your feet stand on, whatever your eyes take in, whatever your ears hear, is seed to your vision. So a lot of times we get discouraged because we don't see. We don't have vision.
Yeah.
Like what is it that allows us to stunt our dreams and visions, man? It's so many millionaires working at Circle K and Walmart. It just ticks me off, man. Yeah. Because somewhere along the line they stopped dreaming.
Wow.
Somewhere nobody told them that you can do that. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's a blessing to have your crew. Your crew to say, hey, no. Yeah. Man, I talk to my crew every morning. We have what we call a power call every day.
Cool.
And what this does is, it's really for me. They don't know it, but for me, I just need so much encouragement because my head is just rolling. I mean, it's so much stuff that I have to do. And it's just a lot of stuff that I want to do, so many dreams. I mean, I call Uncle Ron like, I think I want to fly to the moon and write a song on the moon. He's like, okay, wait. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you need those people in your life who can help fuel the things and the visions that God has given you and not stun them. Wow. Which is why who you hang around is so important.
So good.
You know what I'm saying? You are the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around.
Yeah.
If everybody you hanging around with is not chasing nothing, you're going to be sitting around
chasing
here
nothing.
waiting on the podcast. You're going to sit around here wait. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So you got to check your circle. Like, are you being educated? Are you being or are you being entertained?
Wow.
So many times we chase friendships and relationships because I just want to be entertained. I just want to go to the movies. Like, no, every connection has to have a reason.
Wow.
I'm not just hanging with anybody just because I'm bored.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
totally.
a waste. That's a waste because the Bible is right. Iron does sharpen iron. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But dullness gets you dullness.
Yeah.
So if your life is dull, like, check your circle.
That's so
Check your
good.
circle.
Yes.
Like, because somebody should see something in you and say, hey, you need to be doing this. I feel like, okay, God gave you that idea. Oh, let's do it. What? Oh, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure out how to get it done.
That's so
like,
good.
Those are the people who I'm still, weeding a few people out, because it takes time because you built, like me, I've built a long relationship with a lot of people, so it's like, as you grow, your circle should grow. Your circle should grow.
That's so good. And that is why community is important.
Bam.
That's why your friendship is important. And that being said, thank you guys for tuning in with Alex Johnson Part 2. I'm so thankful for you guys for being a part of the Sip&Awe family and listening. You can now subscribe on YouTube and you can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But Alex, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so blessed for your leadership. I'm so blessed for who you are. You've impacted me in my life. I remember one time, I think it was for a young adult service or for a worship service, and you're like, let's get Brandon to sing. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And you're like, no, you're going to sing. It's because you saw something in me, and I'm super thankful for that moment. I'm so thankful for you. And so, guys, thank you for tuning in. We will see you guys next week.